remember reading a story about a guy who was actually killed. I think he ended up being mentally ill, but I think he was killed by a Secret Service agent. I think he was in like the Denver area or something because he made some comment or some threat online, and they kind of followed up, and he was not looking to engage, and then there was some additional follow-up, and ultimately led to the death of this person, the citizen. And so that will always happen. That's always been the job of the Secret Service. If you say a thing in a public space, then it's their job to follow up and say, did you mean that?
Right.
But we had some research pull together the types of comments that I think celebrities and high-profile, let's call them aspirational cultural figures, have been able to make. And I guess I just want to know if people that are high profile are not just permitted, but elevated and celebrated for saying things like this, then does it create a situation where there's nothing the Secret Service can do because it's just too much?
Well, I think it's too much, and it's become normalized.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to the Kathy Griffin, the comedian that had the bloody head of Donald Trump. I know you've got some quotes here. Rachel Maddow said he's effectively quoting from Mussolini and Hitler, that he can be compared to those people. The problem is when that rhetoric is used, it becomes normalized. It's like the old, thing about the frog and the rising temperature of the water. It doesn't notice it. So we're at a point in America where up until the assassination attempt, it was quite acceptable to talk about Donald Trump in ways you could not talk about anybody else. If somebody had said those things about Fauci, about Joe Biden, you can bet that the Secret Service and law enforcement would have looked them up and would have said something about it. And yet, because it's Donald Trump, somehow they're just angry. They're just expressing their anger and their frustration and their fear of Donald Trump. So we've normalized it in a way that I think is inconsistent, unfair. And that's why there's so much of it, because they did not deal with it early on and say, look, it's fine if you want to criticize him, but these kinds of analogies are dangerous because they can create situations where somebody will feel morally justified for killing somebody.
You heard Bill Barr, the former Attorney General, literally say comments like that have contributed to a culture in which some violent act is more likely to occur. Joy Reid, an MSNBC personality who was, again, might have been on Morning Joe this morning, but they weren't allowed to be on there because they said things like, on July 4th, for the record, so 10 days ago, if Biden's in a coma, I'm voting for him. This is about keeping Hitler out of the White House. And that doesn't even stand out because those are everywhere. But you mentioned Kathy Griffin's with her video with her holding the head that looked like Trump's decapitated. Robert De Niro said, I'd like to punch him in the face. Snoop Dogg, I know you're a huge Snoop Dogg fan, had a music video that showed Trump essentially being shot in the head. George Lopez, the comedian, posted on an Instagram or commented on an Instagram post that said Iran had an $80 million bounty on Trump. George Lopez says, we'll do it for half. And again, like they're not really kind of serious, but what's not serious? And then do you now have to view things a different thing? Larry Wilmore, the comedian for Comedy Central, said, we're talking about bigotry. We have to mention Donald Trump. Sorry, everybody. I don't want to give him any more oxygen. That's not a euphemism, by the way. I mean it literally. Somebody get me that pillow they used to kill Scalia and I'll do it. I mean, so.
Yeah. And you know what I think of when I hear those things? I think of that rodeo clown. Do you remember the rodeo clown?
In the Obama.
He had an Obama mask on. And he was the rodeo clown kind of trying to help on the bull riders when they fell off the... I mean, didn't say anything. He was simply dressed as a rodeo clown with a mask on. He was vilified. I think the Secret Service went and visited him. He lost his job. People attacked him because he was disrespecting the office of the president. And yet all of these sorts of things are being said. Here's the thing, the challenge that I would make to these celebrities is, if you actually believe it, here's the test. If you believe it, you will keep saying that stuff, even given what's happened, and you will put up with the public shame and the scorn that you are now going to receive, that you're crossing the line, because that means you honestly believe it. If you step back now and try to act nice and act more civil, that means it was all BS from the beginning. You didn't actually believe this stuff. You were just trying to manipulate the people that listen to you.